In today's video, we are building out a full call screening AI voice agent designed to answer real phone calls, verify users' intent, and decide whether to transfer, route, or end that call entirely. So whether you're a real estate firm needing to screen buyers from browsers, or perhaps you're in education managing course enrollments and needing to pre-qualify inquiries, this type of AI agent can save your team hours by filtering out those unqualified leads and connecting you to the right ones faster, therefore boosting both efficiency and conversion rates. And today we'll be going through step by step on how to build this out yourself using LiveKit, from setup to SIP trunking integration, all the way through to the moment our AI agent picks up the phone and handles a call all on its own. But before we get into the build, let's go ahead and jump into some demos.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digitix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
It's Jonas, spelled Jonas.
Is it okay to transfer you to a human staff member?
Yes, it is. Now I've got that transferring to a soft phone here. Here we go.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digitix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
No, I'm not interested. I thought this was someone else. There we go. So before we get started, we need to ensure that we have a LiveKit Cloud project initialized. So to do that, what we're going to do is head over to livekit.io. We'll go ahead and click Start Building. This will direct us to cloud.livekit.io. And here we'll need to create a new project. To do that, we can go down to the bottom left here and hit Create a New Project. Let's name this Transfer Call Screener. We'll hit Create, and this is going to initialize a cloud environment that we can go and authenticate into and start developing in our IDE of choice. So here over in Cursor, for example, we're going to open up a new terminal. So LiveKit makes it incredibly easy to spin up boilerplate AI voice agent projects straight from our terminal using the LiveKit command line interface tool. So we'll want to install that if you haven't done so already. If you're on Mac or Linux, we can use brew install LiveKit CLI, and this will install our LiveKit CLI tool. If we're on Windows, we can use something like winget install LiveKit CLI. I'll leave a URL in the description on the LiveKit CLI installation if you have any issues with that. Now, the first thing we'll want to do when LiveKit is installed, as you can see, we have a bunch of different command options. Under LiveKit, we can do LiveKit Cloud Auth, and this is going to authenticate into our LiveKit Cloud account, the one that we had just created. We can name this device. We'll request a verification token, and this is going to pull up this link here, and we can authorize access to that project we had just created. So transfer call screener, we'll go ahead and allow access there. Access granted, we can close this and return to our CLI. As you can see, we've authenticated into the correct project. Now I can clear our terminal here, and we're going to be using UV as a package manager here. So we'll write UV init, initialize LiveKit voice agent bear, and this is going to initialize our LiveKit voice agent boilerplate project. And what we can do is CD into our LiveKit voice agent here. And there's nothing in here yet except for our project.toml here. Now, in this video, we're going to be following a pipeline approach with our voice agent. So packaging together our speech to text or transcription, LLM and text to speech models rather than using a real-time speech to speech model. So in this case, we'll have to add some packages to our project like our noise cancellation and turn detection and things like that. So to add our packages, we can go ahead and run UV add. We'll go ahead and add our first packages. So Celero and turn detector. Cool. Now we're going to add also our noise cancellation plugin. So we can add LiveKit plugins, noise cancellation, tilde equals 0.2. Cool. And then finally we can add for now UV add python.env for our environment variables there. Go ahead and clear that. And now we have all our packages required following a pipeline approach to our voice agent here. Now, the good thing about our LiveKit CLI is this will initialize automatically our boilerplate environment variables by running lk app env right. And here, if I see there, our environment local file has been created automatically with our LiveKit credentials. Perfect. So now our project's essentially initialized. All we have to do is create our voice agent. So let's go ahead and create our agent.py file, and this will sit our agent, basically our pipeline approach. And we can go ahead and start building out our agent. So we're going to do some imports here from .env load.env. Next, we'll want to do some LiveKit specific imports. So we can do from LiveKit import agents. We can do from LiveKit.agents import agent session, agent room options. We can also do from LiveKit plugins import noise cancellation, Celero as well. We can also do turn detection models. So we can do LiveKit.plugins, turn detector, our multilingual model there. And then we can also now load in our environment by running load.env, specing our local file there. So next, what we'll want to do here is we'll want to add our assistant class. So we'll go ahead and write class assistant with our thin wrapper over agent here that we can spec now, and we'll assign init. Okay, super init. And what we'll do here is we'll put instructions there. So here we have our assistant class with a wrapper over our agent. And what we're doing here is we're setting our default system prompt with our instruction string here. Next, we're going to spin up our entry point. And what this does is this will essentially spin up our agent session, which is wired with our voice pipeline models. So our speech to text model, our LLM, and our text to speech model, and some other peripherals like our voice activity detection and turn detector models. The next thing we'll want to do is go ahead and make this agent go live, and we'll do that by starting a session. This is all from our Voice AI Quick Start template that you can find in the description below. So here we're going live with session start. We're going to join our active room, which is this, attach our assistant, and configures our input processing. So once the session is up here, we'll seed our first turn with our session reply here. So the agent is essentially greeting our caller without waiting. Now, the final thing we have to do when it comes to our voice agent pipeline specific to LiveKit is we'll wire up our executable entry point, and this will later change when we'll deploy this on our phone number, but for now this is fine. And that's pretty much it. We essentially have our entire voice agent here. We'll build out this prompt in just a moment, but firstly, let's go ahead and download some model files. So because we have noise cancellation and turn detector models here, we'll need to download our model files. And to do that, can write uv run agent.py download files. There we have it. We have a basic voice agent that we can spin up right now if we wanted to and test directly in our console. But firstly, I want to show you how to change models when required and also clean up some things here. So you'll notice here in our session where we're constructing or defining our transcription, LLM, and speech synthesis models, how do we interchange these with others? So let's go over to the Voice AI Quick Start documentation here. So here, LiveKit offers their own inferencing model or plugins. So essentially what this means is we can use any one of these three LiveKit inferencing models, so Assembly AI, Cartesia, and DeepGram as far as transcription goes, or we can choose from a range of available plugins that we can plug in ourselves with our own credentials to use in place of these local inferencing models for transcription. So if I take a look at DeepGram, perhaps instead of Assembly AI, we want to interchange this with DeepGram. What we can do is go ahead and spec our model here, and because this is under LiveKit inferencing, we don't have to bring our own keys or credentials when it comes to this. So all we have to do is specify the model here, and we can specify the language, which we've done here. So as far as speech to text goes, e.g. transcription, we've now interchanged Assembly AI with DeepGram Nova 3, in my opinion, a more robust transcription model. Same thing applies for our large language model. So LiveKit will offer us OpenAI, Gemini, Qwen, Kimi, DeepSeek. Perhaps we want to interchange OpenAI with a Gemini Flash model, a very lightweight and faster model. So we can go ahead and copy that, come back over here and interchange it like so. And the same thing applies with our speech synthesis. So if I jump back over to our text to speech, LiveKit inference, 11 labs perhaps. Let's do, again, a nice lightweight model. Let's do Flash V2 here. And we'll need to find a voice ID as well to plug in here. So let's use Jessica, for example, copy voice ID, and we can go ahead and plug that on the back. I don't know how that's been added, but let's go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead and run that in the console here. And we can test things locally here directly within the console. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, here she goes.
I'm right here. What's going on? It sounds like you might have something on your mind.
Just testing out locally here. You've been very helpful. Look at you. Let's go ahead and exit out of that. So we know that works here, and we don't really have to put any credentials here unless you're using one of these plugin based models. Now, what I want to do to clean this up in light of the build that we're doing today is I'm going to segment basically a prompt here as well as our initial greeting prompt into their own file. And similarly, we're going to create a tools file that are going to house our end call and transfer call functions. So what we're going to do to expand on this whilst also cleaning it up inadvertently is add a new file, and we'll name this prompt.py, and we'll add another one, tool.py also. So in the prompt.py, what we can do is essentially move our instructions here over to its own separate file here. Let's start to map out a few prompts. So we can do some imports first, and you'll see why I want to add this in just a moment. We'll go from datetime, import datetime. We're also going to do from zone info, import zone info. So we're going to set the current time, and we're also going to format the time. So here we'll import some date time handlers and set our current time very easily here. And now what I can do is I can write something like agent instructions equal something like this. And down the bottom, we can do session instructions as well. And now we have some placeholders for our agent prompt and the first message. Let's go back over to our agent, and we'll just go ahead and specify that in here. And that's going to be agent instruction. And if we scroll down here, this is now going to be session instructions here. Let's go ahead and save that. Now let's work on our prompt a bit. So what we want to have built out is this call screening agent. So we need to introduce ourselves. We need to ask why the user's calling, and also collect some information to quote unquote qualify the user before we can transfer them or decide to end the call or route the call or something like that. So let's think of a unique use case here where we can give this agent a bit of personality and a clear goal on what it is. Let's say that users are going to call into an inbound number. So they're going to call into our agent where they're going to claim a free event package, let's say. So we're an events management company. They're going to claim a free events package. And the requirements of claiming such is for them to provide their name and also agree or give consent to be transferred. Now, if they don't give their name, if they don't consent, we need to end the call. And I think that's going to be a pretty solid use case here to give a nice, easy to follow example of building a call screening agent equipped with transfer and end call functionality, as well as collecting details to determine whether it should transfer or end that call. So in our agent instructions, now think of this as a system prompt. So how you would prompt ChatGPT or a ChatGPT assistant is similar to what we're going to do here. So let's set the role. So we're going to say you are Jamie, a vibrant and engaging voice assistant. You represent, let's Digitex or something like that, an events management company, and are responding to inbound calls to claim a free events package. And next, let's do context. So let's give some context behind this agent. You're handling inbound calls from users claiming their free events package. You're friendly, engaging, and you're curious, blah, blah, blah. Let's also now do a task. What is the primary task that this agent needs to achieve? So your primary task is to qualify the caller and determine if they're a good fit for the events package. You'll provide them with the details. Let's remove this for the events package and transfer them to the applicable human staff member. You'll do this by confirming their name and asking them if it's okay to transfer them. Cool, that's pretty good for now. Now I'm going to use my prompting technique that I like to use and I have been using for quite some time. We can write specifics. So exactly how are we meant to achieve said task, right? We can say we're going to be using some syntax or denotation, pound, 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 condition. And what this is a conditional block for workflow logic. Next, we'll also denote variable here is a placeholder for a variable. We can say sentences in double quotes must be spoken verbatim. We'll also say ask only one question at a time. We'll say when a user says not interested or a similar rejection, you should terminate the call. We'll also say if asked about cost, emphasize that the package is free and ask if they'd like to be transferred to a human staff member. We'll also say today is formatted time to load in, some contextually accurate things here, like the time in the event the user asks. It sounds definitely a bit more human-like if we know the exact time. Now that we have our specifics in here, let's go ahead and define our steps. So what's the steps that we're taking? So when it comes to voice agents and building this out, we really need to sequentially log how we're meant to have a conversation here. So this first one's pretty good. Greet the user and introduce yourself as Jamie, the events assistant from Digitex. We can do step ones and we'll note this as opening plus first greeting. Greet the user warmly and introduce the events package promotion. And we'll do so by denoting our question. So we're going to say Q, basically meaning what the agent should say. Hello, this is Jamie from Digitech, and this is going to be an inbound call. Let's say, good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please? So we'll ask for the name as our first sort of qualifying a segment of this conversation. And then what we're going to say is we'll use these condition blocks that I've put up here to sort of route the responses based on what the user had said. So we can say 1.1, so this is under step 1 and question 1. So 1.1, we can say if so response, user response, not interested or doesn't give name, refuses, etc. We're going to terminate the call by using the end_call function. And we haven't built out these tools yet, or these functions, but we will do so in a moment. Basically what we're going to say here is we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to say they've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name? If they refuse, don't give their name, say not interested, we're going to go ahead and terminate that call immediately. Now what we'll also say is if 1.1, if R, we'll say user gives name, and we'll remove this. So we're going to go to step 2, and step 2 will be transfer to human. And then we'll have a third and final sort of one here where if it's ambiguous or the user didn't really provide it, we'll say 1.1 if ambiguous or no answer. We'll go ahead and ask again politely. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat your name? Okay, so now we've built out, I guess, step 1 of our prompt. And let's build that 2, and this is going to be our transfer to human. We could probably use some of this boilerplate stuff it's given. Ask if it's okay to transfer to a human. Q, look at that. Is it okay to transfer you to a human staff member? If response yes, transfer to human staff member using the transfer to human function, we can call that. If no, we're going to thank the time and end the call. If ambiguous, no answer, ask them politely. Again, that looks good to me. Now, what we'll also do is probably account for some rebuttals of that. So let's say, let's do objection handling. And if the user has any objections, address them and try to resolve them. So let's say if the response is not interested, terminate the call. If response how much is it, or asks about cost, politely explain that the package is free and ask them if they'd like to be transferred to a human. And we'll put these in quotes, I guess. And here we could say this is a queue here. Let's see here, queue. And then let's say if 3.1, if R, transfer to human. If no, thank them for the time and end the call. And again, if ambiguous, we'll do like that. And then finally, next section, we'll do example conversation, and we'll just denote some things here. So Q equals Jamie. So U, then R equals a caller. And then we'll give some example conversations. So we'll do R. So remember, we'll start with a first message where we say, hello, can you hear me, or something like that. Then we're leading into, hello, this is Jamie from Digitex. So if they can hear you, we'll say yes. And then we'll do our Q. We'll say, define that. And then our response after this, let's give a staple conversation here. John Doe, is it okay to transfer you? Yes. And then after we've consented, so we've provided name, consented, it should transfer there. So we'll give example 1, and then let's go ahead and copy this for a termination. So example 2, yes, I can hear you. No, I'm not interested. That call's being terminated. So we'll go ahead and end the example there. And then let's do another one, example 3. Let's provide the name here. Is it okay to transfer you? And then let's do perhaps the cost one. So let's do a cost rejection. How much is it? The package is free. And then what did we say? We said package is free. Can I transfer you to a human staff member? So we'll say package is free. Can I transfer you to a human staff member? Yes, bang. So we've given it some example conversations here. Finally, solidify our prompt and make sure everything is in play. We'll add a guardrails section is what I like to do. So we can do guidelines or guardrails, and we'll define some tools here. Use the end call function to end the call. Use the transfer to transfer the call. Also say never transfer to the call unless you've confirmed a user's name and collected their consent to be transferred. Another one is we'll just add a bunch of these. Never ask the user for blah, blah, blah. Never say the function to speak a response and so forth. Cool. So we've done our prompt here of our main agent, Jamie. Now let's do quickly the session instructions. Greet the user by saying, hello, can you hear me okay? And that's going to prompt a yes or no response off the back of that. Cool. Now let's quickly go ahead and test this and see if it's following our prompt. So we'll run it in the console first, and we haven't defined it. Let's import it here. So we'll do from prompt import agent instruction session instructions. Okay, and let's end that clear, and we'll go ahead and run again to test our prompt. What's going on here? Some zone info is not correct. Okay, this time zone was sort of causing issues. So let's test the prompt.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digitix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
No. Agent's working nicely. It's following our prompt. All we have to do is build out our tools. So let's head over to our tools.py, and we're going to create two tools. So a transfer tool to transfer to our destination, e.g. our human staff member, and our second tool, which is going to be ending the call or terminating the room or the session within LiveKit, okay? We'll import logging, import LiveKit, import API, from LiveKit, import API, cool. And then from LiveKit.agents, let's import function tool, run context. We'll do get job context as well. And then now we'll get to build out our functions. So to define a function, we'll do function underscore tool. Firstly, let's do our transfer function. We'll do async def transfer to human. I'm passing in CTX as run context string, and we'll give a tool description that our LLM is using to know when to go ahead and transfer or call this tool or invoke this tool. Let's give it a bit more of a robust description. Transfer to specialist, confirming the user's name and consent to be transferred. Okay. Next, we'll say logger, logging.getLogger. We'll call this phone assistant. We'll do job CTX. Let's see here. We'll do job, get job context. Then we'll do error handling. So just some simple stuff here, if pretty good. And then we'll specify our transfer destination. So transfer underscore to equal to tell, and then colon plus. And this is going to be our destination number. So I can say that. Now, if you have multiple destinations, we could set, multiple destinations here and call multiple tools. Perhaps maybe you have transfer to human 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or what have you. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to find the caller, which is a SIP participant, and we're going to break our room connection and create a new room connection, essentially. So what we can do is this will be find SIP participants, and we can say SIP underscore participant on remote participant values. We could say if participant identity starts with SIP, we'll go ahead and set SIP equal participant. Let's see, and then break. Cool. And then we'll say some other stuff like this, do some logging. And here we're interacting with LiveKit's SIP API to essentially execute a transfer SIP participant request with some of these details. If successful, we'll log that. Else, we'll also log a fail. So that is a transfer to human. That's our function call that we've already defined in our prompt, transfer underscore to underscore human. The final thing we'll have to do is our end call function. So async def end call. Let's see here, run context string, and then we'll pass in our tool description, basically like that. If the user isn't interested, end the call, and then some basic error handling, and then we'll execute via API as well, deleting a room and some associated error handling. So we'll interact with our LiveKit API, delete a room on tool invocation end call here, and some logging there. So there we have it, our end call tool, as well as our transfer. We're going to have to assign them to our agent. So what we can do here is add our tools. As you can see, tool end call, transfer to human. End call is not defined. We're going to have to from tool import end call and transfer to human up here as well. So let's clear that out. Try again.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digidix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
No, you can't. I'm not interested.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digidix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
It's Sam.
Is it okay to transfer you to a human staff member?
Yes, it is okay. Cool. Perfect. You can see the tool executed, but no participant because I am not one. We're in the console. Cool. So the two tools work fine. Now, this code is going to be left in the description below, so you don't have to write this out all yourself. So do go ahead and check that. Now, there's one thing that we have to edit here. So when we go ahead and wire up our executable entry point here down the bottom, we need to change this to now be specific to telephony. We have to deploy this on a telephony line, not in our console, right? So what we're gonna do is basically define one more thing here, which is going to be, we need to give this a name. So we need to give our agent a name when deploying this. So we can do Jamie, agent name equals, let's say Jamie, call screener. Cool, that's all we have to do. Let's go ahead and save that. Now, once you've added an agent name, we'll be good to go and create our SIP trunk. Cool. So when we've gone ahead and created our LiveKit agent and defined its agent name, we're ready to create and configure a SIP trunk to deploy this on a phone line. The method I'm going to be using today is configuring a Telnex SIP trunk. So you can do this on Twilio, Telnex, Plivio, and Wavix. They have provider specific guides here, all of which are generally the same. Today we're going to be doing something on Telnex and creating a SIP trunk over there. So some prerequisites here, we'll need to purchase a Telnex phone number, which I've already done so. And what we can do here is we need to set up an FQDN connection for both inbound and outbound calling. And here we have literally all we need to go ahead and do that. So we have a series of API calls we have to make to our phone provider, Telnex in this case, to set up our SIP trunk. When we have our SIP trunk, we can go ahead, associate a number to that trunk, and then we'll go ahead and import this trunk into LiveKit. Okay, so a few things to get. Let's go over to Telnex. Over here in Telnex, we need to grab an API key. To do so, we can go to our profile, API keys, create API key, and we'll hit create and copy that API key. Copy to clipboard. And I'm going to open up something like Postman here to facilitate these API requests a bit more easy. So we can go ahead and set a header, authorization, and I'm assuming this is going to be using bearer type. So we can do bearer and then our API key here. Okay. So the first thing we'll want to do if we're setting up an FQDN connection for both inbound and outbound is we'll need to do a post request to a outbound voice profile, and we can copy this curl command, and that's going to be post with body like follows. We'll go ahead and paste that in here. We also need an additional 2 headers, content type and accept, both application JSON here. So we'll do content type application JSON and accept application JSON. And what we can do is we can name our outbound voice profile. So LiveKit outbound voice profile, traffic type conversational. We'll go ahead and hit send on that one. We get 201 resource created. Next, we'll need to create an inbound and outbound FQDN connection. So let's create a new request, and I'm going to copy over the headers. And this is going to be to the FQDN underscore connections post request, paste in like so, and our body is going to be as follows. Let's go ahead and copy that in. So here we can name our connection LiveKit trunk. We need to set a username and password, Jonas YouTube LiveKit connection, and let's make the password Jonas YouTube 1 2 3 4 5, something like that. Okay, and our voice profile ID we need to get from the response here that we had last request, which we can go ahead and copy and paste over into our voice profile ID like so. Go ahead and add an additional brace there, and we'll go ahead and hit send on that one. Now we've satisfied step 2. We need to copy the FQDN and connection ID from the output. So that's going to be this. And now we need to create an FQDN with our SIP endpoint and our ID. Okay, so this, we're going to have to find our SIP endpoint as well as the connection ID. We already have this. So to find your SIP endpoint, we can head back over to cloud.livekit.io and under telephony, configuration, under SIP URI, everything following this colon here is our SIP endpoint. So let's do a third request here. Create a new request, post. I'll copy over the headers and our body. Let's just quickly copy this, coming over here. And as I mentioned here, we can just copy these numbers and characters here as our FQD and connection for our LiveKit environment. We'll need our connection ID from the request output of the last one, just here, and we'll go ahead and input that there. Go ahead and send off this request, and now we're good to go. Let's go ahead and create a new request. A lot of requests going on here, but this will now be to associate our phone number and trunk. So what we're going to do is get a phone number. So we're going to do a get request here. Let's copy this endpoint here and our phone number. So I already have a number in Telnex and we're going to be getting the ID of that number. If you don't know how to get a number in Telnex, you can go to your portal, numbers by number, and search numbers and add that to cart, submit the relevant documentation, and you have a number. However, I digress. We need to go ahead and retrieve the ID of this number. So let's send that and we'll have our associated ID and we'll add our FQD and connection to that phone number. So finally, we're going to patch this phone number and add our new connection to it. So a fifth and final request. This is going to be a patch request to our phone number ID that we had got from our previous response. As you can see here, I'm going to add my header and we'll create our body. Again, getting our phone number ID, put that in like so. Connection ID here, add like so. Go ahead and hit send on that and we're good to go. So that's our trunk setup within Telnex specifically. Now what we need to do is, because we have our trunk and a phone number associated with it, we can set this up in LiveKit. So we need to sign into telephony configuration page over here. As you can see, what we can do is go up to the top here, create new trunk, and we'll go to the JSON editor. And we can create a new trunk with name XYZ, whatever you want it to be, and your number that we had just associated with that trunk. We can hit create. Now we have an inbound trunk direction. Correct, and you would follow this for outbound, but because this is going to be inbound, I'm just going to leave it as is. But you'd go ahead and if I just reload this, let's go back into our inbound trunk. And what we'll also add is something called crisp. So let's clean up. I'm going to add this thing called crisp as well. Just a little pedantic thing there. And we'll go ahead and hit save on that. Next, what we want to do is create a dispatch rule. So we must have set up one dispatch rule to accept incoming calls into a LiveKit room. And what we can do is just copy this. Let's go ahead and go to the JSON editor, name my dispatch rule, room prefix call. Now we're going to add some other things here. And remember how we had to add our agent name in our code. That's where this comes into play. So we're going to set up a room config. So where we can actually define what agent an inbound call to this number should connect to. And we want it to connect to our Jamie agent. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So agent : agent name, and back here we called it Jamie call screener. Make sure this is agents, not agent. And let's go ahead and create that dispatch rule. Cool. The last thing we'll do, and I might as well go through doing this, is creating the outbound trunk as well. So in the event that you want to further down the line distribute this agent on an outbound sense, you'll have to set up an outbound trunk. So because our connection type is facilitating both inbound and outbound, this will work. What you have to do, we can just copy and paste this. We'll create new trunk outbound JSON editor, and we'll paste in like so. We'll just name it my outbound trunk, and the address here is going to be what provider we're using. So in this case, we're using Telnex, and this would be Twilio if you're using Twilio, but this is our SIP trunk provider that we're using. So in my case, it's sip.telnex.com, and the number in which can facilitate outbound calling, paste that in like so. And we also set up some auth username and passwords here earlier. As you can see here, we can paste in like so, bang, and our password there. Go ahead and hit create, and now you have both inbound and outbound SIP trunks to facilitate inbound and outbound calls. And there we have it. We've created our trunk, given our entry point a name. Now, what we can do is we can run this in a development environment. So uv agent.py, uv run agent.py dev. Now this is spinning up in a room in a development environment. And what I can do is go ahead and call into that number that we had just created. Let's go ahead, quickly call into this, and we're going to test the termination side of things. So here we go.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digidix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
No, I'm not interested. I thought this was someone else. There we go. Call ended perfectly. Let's dial in.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hello, this is Jamie from Digidix. Good news, you've reached the free events package line. Can I get your name, please?
It's Jonas, spelled Jonas.
Is it okay to transfer you to a human staff member?
Yes, it is. Now I've got that transferring to a soft phone here, so you'll hear that ringing. There we go. So that transferred fine. Perfect, guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. As you can see there, transferred successful, and we knew from before the call was ended. Successful. So let's reiterate what we've done, okay? And again, this repository is going to be left in the description below, so no worries there. We've established an agent using our pipeline approach when it comes to voice AI with said transcription, LLM text-to-speech models. We've started the session and we've defined an agent name in our entry point that our trunk can call and correspond to. We've also added instructions under our prompt.py, and what we've done is defined a role where Jamie, representative from Digitex, and the goal here is to ask for the user's name, confirm if they want to be transferred, and transfer them to a destination number. If they respond in any negative way from that first message, e.g. not wanting to give a name, we'll go ahead and end the call. Similarly, if on asking for consent, e.g. is it okay to transfer you to a human staff member? If they say no, we'll end the call. If they say yes, we're going to proceed with that transfer. So a very lightweight example here, but incorporating two really important functions, which transferring calls using LiveKit as well as ending calls using LiveKit. And how do we do that? So we've defined a tool, ending call, where we basically terminate the room. And our second tool, which is transfer to a human, we're basically, again, defining the transfer to number. And of course, we could replicate this for multi-destination, where we're using transfer our SIP participant, using specifically here transfer SIP participant request from the LiveKit's API. So here we're using this call forwarding concept here, and here we're using transfer SIP participant in the API there. So very, very cool. There we have it. So that is it for today. Thank you, everyone. That was a complete build out of a call screening agent using LiveKit. Some nuggets in there like setting up a SIP trunk I haven't seen done with Telnex on YouTube, as well as transferring and ending calls. Anyway, that is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment below. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're looking to stay ahead of the AI voice agent curve, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm uploading fortnightly at the moment, but sometimes weekly. Again, if you enjoyed this video, show your support in the comments below. I really appreciate it. But that is it for today. Until next time.